where the IEBC now says it has resolved all internal differences and is ready to conduct a fresh presidential election. The IEBC, as well as its secretariat, were meeting today at the Great Rift Valley Lodge. Like I mentioned, our Sophia Wanuna was there for us the entire day. She's been keeping an eye on that particular story, just listening in to the arguments and the discussions, really, that have been taking place at that particular lodge. Sophia, good evening. Good to speak to you. You have been keeping an eye on this story basically the entire day. And all indications are that there seems to be some sort of a ceasefire among the commissioners, Sophia.
Good evening, Linda. Indeed, tonight it is ceasefire. We are one. That is the message from the IEBC, led by its chair, Wafula Chebukati, alongside the CEO, Ezra Chiloba. After days of internal wrangles, tonight, white smoke billows from Naivasha, and they have been able to resolve all the underlying issues. That is what they said just a few moments ago, saying that now they are strictly focused on the 17th October fresh presidential election, Linda.
Sophia, it's interesting that they're saying they're now focused on the October 17th rerun, but there's also been some talk about political alignments within the commission, and we've had utterances from different political leaders pointing an accusing finger at some of the commissioners as well. What did you hear from that particular meeting?
That is a question that we put to the IEBC chair, and he was categorical that, yes, he has heard of those allegations, those aspersions that have been cast on the commissioners, saying that for such an office, you will have people making all manner of allegations. But he asserted that they are neutral, they are not partisan, not leaning to any of the political sides, that their mandate, their allegiance is to the people of Kenya, and that is the commitment they're now going to be pursuing, focusing on that election, saying that if anyone has evidence on any of these night meetings that we've heard being mentioned or any other form of allegations, they need to present that evidence and not just make empty talk, Linda.
Sophia, I'll talk a little bit about the memo that IEBC Chair Wafula Chebukati wrote to the CEO, Ezra Chiloba. But for now, I want us to listen to part of what the IEBC team had to say today at the Rift Valley Lodge.
Let me say this. The issue of the Supreme Court case, you know very well the judgment is not yet out. The judges are still writing it within their timelines. After the election, of course, the petition was filed. The petition raised issues. And, of course, after raising those issues, as the management, as the commission, we have, of course, a right. You know, the commissioners make policy decisions, right? The secretariat implements. It's not unusual. Where we sit, we don't participate in the operations by the secretariat. So it's not unusual to ask, did this happen? We made this policy, did this happen? And of course, we have all had time to reflect after the case was filed in court. And arising from the pleadings in court, that's when those questions came out. And it's within the right of the commission to seek for answers. We don't have to wait for the Supreme Court judgment to start evaluating ourselves and if anything went wrong with whatever happened at the election. So that's what informed that memo, to at least prepare ourselves. We still would have done a post-election evaluation anyway, even if there was no fresh election. So that's it's a normal procedural thing within the commission.
Sophia, we just listened to IEBC Chair Wafula Chebukati there just today, what they had to say at the Great Rift Valley Lodge. But then, as he maintains that they're now focused on the rerun, a lot of concern, a lot of attention has been paid on the memo that he wrote to IEBC CEO Ezra Chiloba. Did they make any reference whatsoever to it?
Yes, and it's part of what you've been able to hear there, Linda, the chairperson, when questioned about what exactly informed that memo to the CEO. Especially remember, this memo came after the chairman had, through an affidavit to the Supreme Court, defended the 8th of August general election, saying that it was carried out legally and they did everything in their power to ensure everything was in accordance to the law. However, according to the ruling, harsh indictment on the IEBC. So he says after the proceedings, that is what he said tonight, they then reflected and hence those questions in the memo. And they say as a commission, they will review the responses that the CEO will give. But as for those who thought that this would lead to the exit of the CEO, as some quarters in the political arena have demanded, that is not the case. Tonight, the chair asserting that the CEO is very well in charge and that in fact he will be leading, guiding, reviewing and streamlining that project team that the chair had announced earlier, indicating there would be some changes in as far as ensuring the 17th of October a fresh presidential poll is carried out by a team that is able, and if there are any changes required, the CEO will be in charge of that, Linda.
Sophia, and it's interesting that he said their full mandate right now is to basically serve Kenyans as they prepare for that rerun. Could we listen in a little bit to what he had to say again today?
Only 6 commissioners and myself are here, plus the CEO. We've been together in one room the whole day. If we didn't like each other, I'm sure somebody would have walked away. But we have committed to what we came to do in the office. We took an oath to serve Kenyans without fear or favor and in compliance with the constitution of the land and the laws of the land. And that's why we are here. We have redefined those moments, and our allegiance is the people of Kenya. And that's why we are standing here to tell Kenyans that we are going to work together as one. As regards the memo, it's not the first time a confidential document has leaked from an organization. It's unfortunate that that went out. The memo was marked confidential. In terms of the organization structure, the commission makes policy and communicates to the secretariat to implement. So ours is those responsibilities we push the secretariat. But at the end of the day, we, of course, have said that the secretariat has given the answers. We are going to sit together as a commission and review them, and we shall share.